Welcome back to Exposure Stories. What if everything you were taught about the pyramids wasn't entirely false, but also not the full picture? For generations, the story has remained largely unchanged. Around 2500 BCE, during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu, ancient Egyptians constructed the Great Pyramid of Giza using copper tools, wooden sledges, simple machines, and a massive but organized workforce. It's a narrative supported by archaeological discoveries such as worker settlements, tool remains, and inscriptions left behind by labor crews. But for alternative researchers like Graham Hancock, this explanation leaves too many unanswered questions, gaps that, in his view, point towards something far more complex and possibly far older. Hancock's journey into ancient history didn't begin in academia. He was a journalist, known for his work with The Economist, before shifting his focus in the 1990s toward investigating humanity's distant past. His central idea is not necessarily that historians are wrong, but that the accepted timeline of civilization may be incomplete. He asks a provocative question: what if advanced human societies existed long before the earliest known civilizations, and what if traces of their knowledge still survive in ancient monuments like the Great Pyramid? At first glance, the Great Pyramid appears to support the mainstream view. Archaeologists have found evidence of organized labor forces, including villages where workers lived, bakeries that fed them, and tools used in construction. There are also inscriptions in nearby structures that mention Khufu's name, reinforcing the traditional attribution. However, when examining the pyramid itself, especially its interior, some unusual features stand out. Unlike many other Egyptian tombs, which are filled with hieroglyphs, carvings, and elaborate funerary texts, the interior of the Great Pyramid is largely undecorated. The walls are bare, the chambers are stark, and there is no clear evidence of a burial. The so-called sarcophagus in the king's chamber is another point of curiosity. It is a simple granite box with no inscriptions or decorative elements, and no confirmed remains have ever been found inside it. While mainstream scholars suggest that the pyramid may have been looted in antiquity or that burial practices varied, alternative thinkers argue that this absence of evidence raises questions about whether the structure was ever intended to serve as a tomb at all. Hancock often highlights this as one of the key mysteries that deserves further investigation. Then there is the question of engineering. The Great Pyramid is not just large, it is incredibly precise. Its alignment to true north is accurate to a fraction of a degree, a level of precision that would have required careful astronomical observation. The base of the pyramid is almost perfectly level across a massive area, and the stones are cut and fitted with extraordinary accuracy. In some places, the joints between stones are so tight that even a thin blade cannot pass between them. These features demonstrate a level of craftsmanship that continues to impress modern engineers. Mainstream Egyptology explains this precision through skill, planning, and incremental technological development. The Egyptians built earlier pyramids, such as the Step Pyramid of Djoser, and gradually refined their techniques over time. By the time of Khufu, they had developed the knowledge and organization needed to construct the Great Pyramid. However, Hancock argues that the leap in quality and scale is so significant that it suggests the possibility of lost techniques or knowledge that we do not yet fully understand. One of the most challenging aspects of pyramid construction is the transportation of materials. The majority of the pyramid is made from limestone blocks quarried locally, but the granite used in the king's chamber was transported from Aswan, hundreds of kilometers away. Some of these blocks weigh tens of tons. Archaeologists propose that the stones were transported along the Nile and then moved on land using sledges and manpower. While experimental archaeology has shown that this is possible, it remains an enormous logistical challenge, especially when considering the scale of the project. Another layer of the debate involves the methods used to raise the stones into position. The most widely accepted theory is the ramp system, in which workers used large ramps made of mud brick or stone to haul the blocks upward as the pyramid grew. However, the exact design of these ramps, whether straight, zigzagging, or spiral, remains uncertain, and no definitive remains of such ramps have been found. This uncertainty leaves room for alternative interpretations, though it does not necessarily invalidate the mainstream explanation. The mystery deepens when we turn to the Great Sphinx. Some geologists, including Robert Schoch, have argued that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx suggest prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall. If correct, this would imply that the monument is far older than the traditional date of around 2500 BCE, possibly dating back to a time when the climate of Egypt was much wetter. This interpretation is highly controversial and debated within the scientific community, but it has become a cornerstone of Hancock's argument for a much older civilization. Hancock connects this geological hypothesis with astronomical ideas, particularly the Orion correlation theory proposed by Robert Bauval. This theory suggests that the layout of the Giza pyramids corresponds to the stars of Orion's belt as they appeared around 10,500 BCE. While many scholars dispute this claim, arguing that the alignment is not precise enough to support such a conclusion, it adds another dimension to the discussion about the purpose and design of the pyramids. From these pieces of evidence, Hancock constructs a broader narrative. He proposes that an advanced civilization may have existed during the last ice age and was largely destroyed by a global catastrophe, possibly linked to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. According to this idea, survivors of that civilization pass down fragments of their knowledge to later cultures, influencing the development of ancient Egypt and other early societies. In this view, the Great Pyramid is not an isolated achievement but a remnant of a much older and more advanced tradition. However, it is crucial to emphasize that this theory is not accepted by mainstream archaeology. The majority of experts rely on a wide range of evidence, including radiocarbon dating, historical records, and material findings, all of which support the traditional timeline of pyramid construction during the Old Kingdom of Egypt. While alternative theories can be thought-provoking, they often depend on interpretations that are difficult to verify and lack the same level of empirical support. At the same time, the study of ancient Egypt is far from complete. New technologies, such as muon tomography, have revealed previously unknown voids within the Great Pyramid, suggesting that there are still discoveries to be made. These findings demonstrate that even well-studied monuments can hold surprises, and they highlight the importance of continuing research with an open but critical mindset. In the end, the Great Pyramid of Giza remains one of humanity's most extraordinary achievements. Whether it was built entirely by the ancient Egyptians using methods we are still uncovering, or whether it contains elements that challenge our current understanding, it continues to inspire curiosity and debate. The questions raised by researchers like Graham Hancock may not always align with mainstream science, but they encourage people to look more closely at the evidence and to think deeply about the past. Perhaps the most important takeaway is not which theory is correct, but the recognition that history is a constantly evolving field. As new discoveries are made and new methods are developed, our understanding of the past can change. The pyramids stand as a reminder of human ingenuity, mystery, and the enduring desire to explore the unknown. Whether viewed through the lens of established scholarship or alternative speculation, they continue to captivate the imagination and challenge us to keep asking questions. If you like the video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.